inspired, fully engaged. You're tuning in to Reality with Vicki Gunvalson.
So hello and welcome back to Reality with Vicki. I want to thank all of you who have been listening and commenting, giving us 5 stars. And Terra has going to be our guest today, Terra Newell. We've actually talked before. She's been called one of the biggest badasses of true crime, and you don't want to miss this episode to hear what she's been up to. So, Terra, I'm so happy to have you on Reality with Vicki, and I'm excited to share your story with everybody. I love how you've shaped your experience into one that encompasses wellness. As you know, overall wellness is super important to be well balanced in your life. You've actually been at my office. You know how important finances are to me, and also getting through these, I call them bumps in our life. Yes. So my passion's been helping people to improve their financial wellness. And from what I know of your story, finances played a role in what transpired. And we're going to talk about that. So one of the pieces of the puzzle is financial wellness. But a very important part of that cannot be ignored or areas to fall apart in. So, I'm going to probably get a little emotional today about you because I adore you. But Terra has been called one of the biggest badasses of true crime. She killed Dirty John Meehan, a con man and serial predator, in a self-defense at the young age of 25. Since then, she shared her dramatic story on global platforms to raise awareness around domestic abuse. She is the heroine of episode 6 of Dirty John podcast and has been interviewed for Dateline, Dirty John, The Dirty Truth, Dr. Oz, The Skinny Confidential, KTLA, and numerous other outlets. You're making a name for yourself, girl. You're currently working alongside criminal behavior analyst Laura Richards to pass laws against coercive control in the United States, with already passing one in California where we both live. Terra is a toxic relationship trauma recovery life coach that loves to help others by coaching and advocating for victims. Oh, so that's a little bit about you. I want to talk about so many things with you, but trauma bonding, you and I talked about that when we met a while ago. And yes. Trauma bonding is something that's happened to me personally. And it kind of rears its ugly head in my life a lot. And it's just bizarre that it does. But I want to, for the listeners who haven't heard Terra's story, I want to give you a little bit of a platform to talk about it. So let's just dive right in. So Dirty John, if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the show or listen to the podcast, I used to listen to it on my walks in the morning because it correlated to my ex-boyfriend, almost identical, other than Brianna didn't kill him. And you went through trauma and your mom went through trauma. So let's talk about what you're doing now to survive through that, right? Because I think it's the survival story that really is important to have people understand. You will survive, right?
Yes. Well, you will survive if you put in the work and you actually want to move forward with that. But if you are the type of person where you're negative, you stay in your house and you don't want to motivate yourself to get better, then, you could stay in that hole. But my whole thing is we can really rewire the brain after trauma, because when you go through trauma, your brain automatically changes the chemistry. So now I'm like doing all my life coaching to rewire people's brains from their trauma in order to help them just get better. And so they could be, live a normal life.
Yeah, because when you go through trauma like that, well, yours was extreme. I mean, you were self-defense and you killed John, who needed to be gone because he was going to kill you.
Yes.
So when you look back on that, I'm sure you relive it and understand, like, how did our family, this perfect family in Orange County, California, get wrapped up in this? And what we have found, and you have found, is it's not that unusual. I mean, death of that and him trying to kill you is probably more unusual, but the whole manipulation and trauma. And I'm reading a book right now called Manipulation. Have you ever read that book?
No, I haven't. Who's it by?
My counselor, I'm going to pull it up on Kindle real quick. My counselor told me about it because I still have residual effects from it. How did I, a successful businesswoman, just like your mother, get caught up with somebody that is so manipulative, and it all comes down to we wanted love. That's all we wanted. We wanted to feel love. We wanted to be loved, and we would do anything to get it. I'll get the author in a moment, but it's called Manipulation.
Okay.
And super, super important that people understand it's not love that we're in. Sometimes it is pure manipulation, and we get caught in it, and it shouldn't be. So yeah. I want to go to you. How you turned this tragic event. Let's first touch base on your mother, beautiful woman, successful interior designer, went on a dating app, right, to try to find a partner, right? And so let's kind of go fast forward to what happened.
So she essentially went on a dating app. She dated a couple other men, but she didn't quite find someone that she really wanted to spend her time with. Mm-hmm. And she ended up going on this date with John. And they went to Houston's for their first date at a local place in Irvine, California. And they had a date, and, she liked it during the date, and she liked him during the date and stuff. But when they got back to her place, he was very comfortable in her house. Mm-hmm. And that made her uncomfortable at first. Mm-hmm. So she kicked him out, didn't really want to see him again. But he called her back and tried to, apologize, love bomb her in a sense, and just hey, that wasn't me. I really want to spend time with you. That made me upset. I want to respect you. So she gave him another chance. And then from there, he started just doting on her and love bombing her, making her, smoothies in the morning if she wanted, but her thing is really coffee, iced coffee. Mm-hmm. So getting her iced coffee in the morning, holding her purse, following her to her office, making sure she needed anything she needed. He was basically like a glorified love assistant. Mm-hmm. And so that made her feel so happy because who isn't happy when someone's there and Absolutely. Just giving them love and affection and attention. And then from there, she really didn't notice red flags in him until he started to meet us, my sister and I. And from there, we kind of didn't like him because we picked up on things where he didn't really want to engage with us as much as my mom. And to her, that was an iffy red flag because mm-hmm. we've had issues with her boyfriends and husbands in the past. And so she kind of put that feeling aside because, it was contradictory. And then she got further involved in this relationship, and he was able to kind of manipulate her. He moved in with her 2 months into the relationship into a place on Balboa. And he kind of tricked her, I think, because there was times where I'm like, is he living with you? And she'd be like, he's not living with me. But then I think he already knew he was living with her, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of just stayed there where she's like, well, I guess you're living here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So they just kind of weasel their way into living with you. Or just if, you're one of the women that they're seeing on the side, they're not going to move in with you right away. Mm-hmm. But they'll still love bomb you and still do those tactics. And then they'll go to this manipulation tactic and treat you kind of like crap mm-hmm. at certain times. And then they'll come back and dote on you so that it makes things better and the love bombing again. Mm-hmm. And it's just a vicious cycle, but they also try to isolate people from your life. And I think there's 6 things what to do in a love bombing relationship, what they do to you. It's they gaslight you. They first love bomb you, then they isolate, then they gaslight you and do all that stuff. And at the end, you're completely drawn in like a drug addiction. Mm-hmm. because it affects the brain the same way that a drug addiction does. So you're essentially addicted to this relationship, and it's so hard to get out of it after that because your brain is actually trained to go back to him. And so it's like this chemical balance where you're like, wait, I'm not being treated well right now, but I have to go back and I have to make him feel better and I have to please him. And I don't really understand what's going on because, you know, I am a great woman and I am I've worked hard and I'm so smart. Like, what is happening? It's that chemical effect on the brain. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I have to go back to him because I have to do it. My brain's telling me to do it. So, you know, it's just like those effects that you're getting from that relationship. And so it makes it so hard to leave and get out of it.
Right. And I think, you know, going back to when I was in it, who doesn't want to be loved and who doesn't want to feel? So how do you decipher what's real and what's manipulation? So I just pulled up that book. It's called Manipulated by H.G. Tudor. I'm halfway through it. My counselor, who I'm still getting some therapy on, just making sure that I see any red flags with anybody in my life that's manipulating me.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a love partner. It can be a friend. It can be acquaintance. It can be anybody. But your mother and I are so similar where all I want is to feel adored and loved. And, you know, it almost cost, you know, me and my relationship with my daughter, because she basically said, if you're going to stay with him, I'm out. You'll never see the grandkids or me again. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. Of course, I chose my daughter over him. But how everything unfolded with him was, you know, all this cancer shit and all this monopolizing and taking my money, and just it was on and on and on and on. And, you know, I don't know what would have happened. The anger with Brianna towards him was, she couldn't get through to me. I was, like you say, it was like a drug.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of it. I wanted more of his attention. I wanted more of his love. He was manipulating me, and I was like, I'm good as long as you love on me. And it was like a drug. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to this, whether you're married or in a relationship. You've got to know these signs. If other people are seeing things that you're not seeing, there might be something of truth there. So we need to definitely hear what other people are saying. You know, everybody wants that are close to you want the best for you. So we need to just be aware of that.
Yes. Something that I like to do when I get in relationships or when I start dating someone is I like to have my friends meet him, because when you're in a relationship and you're getting all these oxytocins and all this fun love drugs or like fun, you know, love chemicals, you're like so blind to some of the red flags.
Right.
And it's like, is this a red flag or is this just an ego thing? Or is just, so I have to go to my therapist every other week or like have my friends meet the person and get their opinion, because, you know, when you had a history of being in a past relationship that was toxic, you're actually more prone to repeating that pattern. And until you break that cycle, like you may choose someone that's better, but they're not a perfect, secure relationship, if that makes sense. And so you really have to just have, you know, a therapist or friends like help hold you accountable in that situation.
Interesting. So, because I think, you know, a lot of these men, we're going to do men and women, it doesn't have to be gender specific, but a lot of these men go out and look for successful women, and they look for that security. Don't you agree? And then looking at like what your mom was, she had everything but love. And when we don't have love, we don't feel empowered. I know when I have love, I can do anything. I can rock the world. But when I don't have love, that's a challenge.
Yes. You know? Well, it's like, it makes you happy when you're in love and stuff. So you're more like prone to go out and like be encouraged to go work harder or something, you know, you're like more prone to live out your dreams when you're getting these happy feelings. Right.
And like I can conquer the world as long as I'm loved.
Yes.
When I don't have love, it's a very difficult space for me.
Okay.
So I get why women fall into this. It's a pattern, like you say, but how, if we recognize that we're in this manipulated state or we're being love bombed, how do we get out of it? Because it is like a drug.
So it's so difficult to actually get out of it. And I want to say that every situation is different. You know, if you are in a situation like, you know, your past relationship or my mom's past relationship, you have to plan the leave so well. But if it's like, you know, a month into it, like maybe thinking about like trying to ghost him or like just like pick fights with him and like sabotage the relationship. You know, if you realize he's a narcissist or like a toxic person, like I say, like, you know, try to like weasel your way out of that and be smart about it. But when you're in it, you have to plan your leave. I say first, get linked up with a therapist because they are going to have your back in court. And they can also help you with like any victim compensation forms or anything and get you money if you need to, or just sign something to help get you money. So getting a therapist is so key. And then after that, just confiding in your therapist, all your friends, taking pictures of everything, and then going to the police like right away. But like, I say you have to build your relationship with your therapist a little bit first. And then, but if your life is ever in danger, you know, always call the police. I don't want, if you're getting threats, you know, call the police, make that known. But sometimes, you know, if you're living with him and you have kids or her and you have kids, it's a complicated situation. You have to plan. So having that therapist as like someone that can advocate for you is really important. And I say therapist because legally, if you go to court, you're going to need a therapist to be there for you and have that character witness. And I think, you know, getting hooked up with a life coach is always great, but you need to get the therapist when you're getting out of it, if that makes sense. Just for legal reasons.
Yeah. Yes, you have to have professional help because sometimes we can't really do it ourselves. You know, that's the thing. So you have your own podcast, right?
Yes. Okay. Time Out with Terra. And then you have an episode coming out soon too, or it should be out by the time we release this.
So one of the things on your Instagram, you posted that on average, it takes 7 times for someone to leave an abusive relationship. It's often easy for outsiders to see that the relationship is unhealthy, but why is it so hard for most women to leave a toxic relationship? Do you have any tips for people struggling? I know we touched on it, but I think listening to your friends, listening to people that love you is important, right?
Yes. No, listening to your friends, listening to your therapist, just having that outside non-biased opinion is cool too, because sometimes your friends are like, oh, I don't like this guy because I want to spend time with you and he's taking away my time. So really figuring out the friends that have that non-biased opinion for you. And, you know, why it takes 7 times to leave is because, you know, the chemistry in the brain, it's like, it's that drug. So, you know, it's just so hard to leave and get out of that. And then also they have this thing where they always try to come and get you back. And so it's like, they always kind of want to keep you in their claws. So if you leave, they're going to try to come back and get you.
That's interesting. Even though they know it's toxic themselves, but it's a narcissistic control attitude. I'll go back because maybe the listeners haven't really known who you are and what happened. But just to recap, Terra's mother was a successful woman. She went and on a dating app, found a man, thought it was everything, married this man. The kids didn't know much I don't think you knew that she even married him when she did, right?
No.
And then ended up, he was very threatened by the children. He knew the children weren't in on him, and he tried to kill Terra and with a knife, and Terra fought back and ended up killing him. So this happened right here in Newport Beach, beautiful Newport Beach, California. If you think it can't happen to you, it can. He went into a rage of fit and he couldn't get out of it. And he knew everybody was in on it and in on him being this bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way Terra was going to survive was to turn the knife on him, and she did, and she killed him. She got very injured and hurt and traumatized, obviously. And now she's able to be here to help others to really look for the signs so this doesn't happen to anybody ever again. We've got words we've used: narcissism, love bombing. Another word is gaslighting. It is a form of an abusive relationship. Why do people fall into this gaslighting, and what is gaslighting?
So gaslighting is your reality being denied. So basically, if they're telling you that the sky is purple and you're looking at the sky and it's blue, they are somehow able to convince you that the sky is purple. And they're able to convince you like, oh, this didn't happen when it did. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use example when I was gaslighted for my first time was when I was in high school, and I was just out of a relationship. It was a toxic relationship, but I didn't know that at the time. And I saw him make out with another girl, and I asked him about that, and he said, that didn't happen. You're seeing things. And for me, for like years, I battled with if it was really true, if I did see that thing. And I know in my gut it was real and it happened, but they are so good at denying your reality.
Right. You know, I was looking at some messages from one of my friends that was gaslighted. She goes, do you think this is the term gaslighting? And it does make you feel like you're going crazy because is this really happening to me? And why is this happening to me when I'm such a good person? And then how do we make sure this unresolved trauma doesn't keep showing up in other relationships?
I say this is the point where you get with a life coach that actually knows what they're doing, or a therapist. I have talked to so many life coaches. I've used so many life coaches myself. I go to therapy every other week. So I really have that person to hold me accountable to not get into these relationships again. And when I am in a relationship, she reminds me, take it slow, take some time apart from him, do your own stuff and come back and maybe see him once a week at first. Because the thing is, when you're love bombed and when you're gaslighted and you're with someone that's toxic, you really need time to figure out if that next person is going to be toxic or not.
That's interesting.
And you need to analyze them.
It's so scary because at the end of the day, we just want to be loved. That's it. We want to be loved. We want to be adored. We want to have a clean, easy relationship. I look back at my parents, just an awesome marriage. And it's why does everything have to be so complicated? But it does, because we're dealing with unhealthy people that, not saying I'm perfectly, but I'm not unhealthy. I know what I want in a relationship, and I know that I deserve a good relationship. So, it's scary. It's really scary.
Yeah, it's a human need to be loved. So, companionship is actually one of the things that we need to survive on for being a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to be connected. And if we're not, we're going to look for connections through something, work, an animal, blah, blah, blah. But I believe humans need to be with humans.
Yes.
I do believe that. So, I need to get with your mother. Her and I have been talking back and forth. I want to go meet her for dinner or something. Tell her hello for me.
Yes.
Deborah Newell is a survivor of this very, very terrible relationship. Terra is a survivor from trying to be killed, and she survived it. And now she's using her platform to help others. So this trauma bonding, the narcissism, the gaslighting, abusive relationships, everybody who's listening, if you are in it, please get help. Please listen to the ones that love you, because they know more sometimes than we do when we're in it, because we don't know what we don't know, right? But once you get out of it, you'll be like, you got a backpack off your back, and you're able to now live the life that you were meant to live.
Oh, yeah.
So, right?
I feel like when you get out of that relationship, it's like each brick is just removed. Mm-hmm. Every time you get like a step further away from them.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're right. So is there anything else you want to say? We can lead people over to your podcast. Dirty John is the movie. It's on most streaming networks. But you got to watch what this family went through if you haven't yet, because it's pretty incredible that they survived it. And if you're in a bad relationship, please get some help. Lean on Terra and her podcast. Again, Terra, say it one more time so our listeners can do that.
Yes, my podcast is Time Out with Terra. It's available on any streaming network where podcasts are available. And then I also have my Instagram. If you guys feel like you want to connect to me, I answer almost all my DMs, but the best way to actually get in contact with me is to go to my website, terranewellsurvival.com, book a free 15-minute consult call with me, and I will literally give you advice with anything you want, anything you need. So, that's free. And I just really want to help people get to a better place.
You're doing great, girl. Proud of you. Okay. So everybody, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, give us 5 stars, and head over to Terra's podcast as well. And I just want everyone to know how to whoop it up. At the end of the day, go find a partner to go whoop it up with, or whoop it up with yourself, right?
Yes.
So thank you, dear. I really adore you. And I've connected with you in so many different levels, and I really respect you. So have a good week, and say hi to your mama. Okay.
Thank you. I will.
Dear. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Now, glutathione is a big word, but it's the body's own master antioxidant. So it's a scavenger for free radicals, for bacteria, and what's relevant now, viruses. This is new to the marketplace. There's no other product on the market that has the ingredient NACET.
And basically NACET increases the production of that glutathione that is in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system and keep it strong. Elevated sense of well-being. Supports muscle strength and endurance. Cognitive function. Powerful liver support. Energy, helps blood sugar regulation, superior bioavailability of key ingredients.
One of your best defenses against COVID is a strong immune system. Taking GSH Plus as a daily supplement does all that. And now we have the product out on the market.